Hello and good day, everyone. So we are from Group 1. We're going to present about a case study regarding PES Refinery fire and explosion in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on June 21st, 2019. My group members are Razim, Tan Wisan, Nurul Shazwani, and me myself, Muhammad Nuruddin.
Here I'll briefly explain the background of the 2019 past refinery disaster. The incident occurred in the hydrofluoric alkylation unit and originated from the discharge piping of the depropanizer reflux pump. The critical issue was severe wall tightening on a pipe elbow, where the thickness decreased from 322 mm to only 11 mm due to accelerated hydrofluoric acid corrosion. This happened because a non-compliant alloy steel material with high nickel and copper content remained in service. Once the pipe failed, a large amount of hydrocarbons and hydrofluoric acid were released, forming a vapor cloud that later ignited. The event eventually caused massive explosions, around $750 million in losses, and led to the permanent shutdown of the refinery. Now, I'll explain the timeline of events for the incident. Before 4 a.m., the HF alkylation unit was operating under normal conditions with routine process adjustments being performed. After just few seconds, the corroded pipe elbow ruptured, releasing hydrocarbons and hydrofluoric acid. Then, after 2 minutes, the vapor cloud ignited, causing a major fire explosion. Between 2 minutes and 4:03 a.m., emergency response actions began, and the rapid acid inventory system was activated to reduce the HF inventory. From 4:15 to 4:22 a.m., multiple secondary explosions occurred as the fire continued to escalate. At about 4:22 a.m., the V1 vessel ruptured violently, causing extensive damage and projecting debris over long distances. Finally, at 8:30 a.m., the fire was fully extinguished after prolonged emergency response efforts.
Moving to hazard identification, the catastrophic escalation at this unit was driven by six interconnected threats. First, we have the severe chemical hazard of hydrofluoric acid, which released over 5,000 pounds of highly toxic, skin destroying vapor into the air. This danger was instantly magnified by a massive, highly pressurized, flammable hydrocarbon inventory right next to it, creating an immediate risk of ignition and high overpressure. The root trigger was degraded pipe integrity due to high copper and nickel content. An unmonitored pipe elbow installed in 1973 silently corroded away from zero point 0.3 inches down to a microscopic 0.011 inches before it finally ruptured. This rupture fueled a continuous jet fire, leading to a catastrophic BLEVE explosion of a nearby surge drum, launching a massive 38,000-pound projectile. Simultaneously, control system vulnerabilities paralyzed the defense. The explosion knocked out communication and backup power, leaving the water mitigation cannons completely inoperable. Ultimately, because this occurred within a densely populated urban area, these failures combined to create a severe community exposure risk with immense evacuation challenges.
This Spot 3 analysis examined the PSHF alkylation unit incident, with the top event being loss of containment and vapor cloud formation. The incident stemmed from four concurrent conditions. First, a pipe elbow rupture released flammable hydrocarbons, including a propane-rich stream, light hydrocarbons, and toxic HF. Third, the release could not be rapidly isolated due to no remote isolation valve downstream of the P14 pumps, and the HF water mitigation system failed, caused by control wiring failures and a uninterrupted power supply that wasn't protected from explosion hazards. Finally, the vapor cloud accumulated due to high pressure release, ground hugging behavior, a congested unit area, and delayed ignition. Zooming into the elbow rupture itself, the elbow had been in HF service since 1973, and the wall thickness had degraded from 0.322 inches down to just 0.011 inches, well past the 0.18-inch retirement threshold. This happened because the elbow was non-compliant material. It is originally manufactured as alloy steel, a high nickel copper alloy, but improperly restamped as a STM 8234 WPB. The copper and nickel content was 2.58%, which is 17 times above the NACE recommended 0.15% limit. This accelerated the corrosion dramatically. Most critically, no one caught it. The failed elbow had no corrosion monitoring location assigned. Inspections assume uniform corrosion, missing the localized attack at the elbow. And despite the 2003 NACE paper and the 2007 API RP751 update both flagging this exact risk, neither Sunoco nor PS acted to inspect existing piping for non-compliant materials. This slide concludes everything into a root cause analysis. The critical event was the P14B elbow rupture, which triggered a chain reaction. Yellow material caused severe wall thinning, leading to HF release, jet fire, and ultimately a V1 blave. The immediate causes were the elbow rupture, accelerated HF corrosions from high nickel copper steel, and release escalations into explosion. The root causes reveal why it was allowed. No CML on the failed elbow, double stamping allowed unsuitable material stay in service for decades, and updated NACE and API knowledge was never acted upon. Contributing factors include poor inspection decision making, no downstream isolation valve, safeguard failures, and an inherently hazardous process, while safer alternatives were never evaluated.
For this slide, I will explain the impacts and findings of the incident. First, regarding people, 5 workers and 1 firefighter suffered minor injuries, but there were no fatalities. Second, in terms of facilities, the damage cost about $750 million, and a blade sent a 38,000 pound fragment across the river, and the refinery was permanently shut down. Third, for the environment, more than 5,200 pounds of HF were released, with over 3,200 pounds going to the atmosphere. Fourth, regarding the public, over 117,000 people live within 1 mile of the refinery. No offsite injuries occurred, but a large release could have been catastrophic. Moving on to the emergency response, the RAD system drained 339,000 pounds of HF in just 2 minutes and 21 seconds. However, the water spray failed because its wiring was damaged by the fire. Next, the investigation findings. The failed elbow had high nickel and copper, which caused faster corrosion. Its wall thickness dropped from 0.322 to 0.011 inch, and there was no inspection point on that elbow. Finally, corrective actions. PES filed for bankruptcy, and the CSP issued recommendations to APA, API, and ASTM. I will continue with the recommendations, key lessons, and whether this incident could have been prevented. First, to the APA, they must prioritize HF unit inspections, require safer technology reviews every 5 years, and prioritize HF for risk evaluation. Second, to the API, they must update RP751 to require fire protection for critical safeguards, remote isolation valve on HF and hydrocarbon vessels, and 100% piping inspection program. Third, to the ASTM, they must revise the A234 standard for HF service, use low nickel copper steel, and protect control wiring from fire and explosions. Moving on to the key lessons, high nickel and copper causes faster HF corrosion. Now, new safety knowledge must trigger re-inspection of old equipment. Active safeguards like water spray need fire protection. The most critical failure was that no requirement existed to inspect 100% of piping. As a result, the elbow had no monitoring point for 46 years, and its wall thickness dropped from 0.322 to 0.01 inch undetected. To conclude, could it have been prevented? Yes. 100% inspection would have found the thin elbow. Remote valves would have stopped the jet flame. Fireproof water spray would have reduced the HF release.